cold, rainy, you name it. But we're live, man. Big week for NBA. Big week for just really solid slates every day.
Like, you know, they still got Sabonis at 6.
And
I think is way too low. You know, with no Embiid, they got Tobias Harris still at 3.5.
Oh. My bad. I wish there was a better way I could cue that in there. But we are live for another installment of the Prop Show, man. This is what, week 2, week 3 now of having this part of the everyday catalog of videos live, because that's the best way to serve NBA content. And in this show, this video, we're going to be centered around finding the best props to get some stake in tonight, specifically for PrizePicks.com. If you're not on PrizePicks, sign up. Use code Gundacker. They'll double your first deposit up to $100. $100 becomes. Why wouldn't you? But anyway, Josh, you may recognize Josh. He's a regular, and you might recognize Quinn, because he was on a DFS breakdown show not too long ago. These two are like a beautiful mind in the RunDFS.com NBA VIP Discord, always chopping it up in the PrizePicks channel, and really just magic watching you guys try to hunt out these props. So I'm glad we were able to get both of you guys on. Looks like maybe every now and then on a Monday, Quinn and Josh could be a regular Monday start to the week. Josh, to start with you. What's up, man? How you doing?
Good, man. Glad to have our homie Quinn on here. Yeah, like you said, we're always cooking. Like right before the show started, we were hunting down props together. So this should be fun. I think we can, with us three, nail down like 3 solid props.
Yeah, and Quinn, how about you, man?
Oh man, I'm good. Just happy Monday, and just ready to chop up some props with you guys, and you know, share something for everybody else that's watching. I want to see everybody win some money tonight, so hopefully we can help lead the way.
Yeah, I had somebody
Somebody says something about my mic. Chat, how's that? Is that better? I don't know how it would have flipped the input there, but it's obviously different than the Discord. But it looks like the volume levels are fine. So pretend like I did that whole intro at like an impeccable, perfect mix. Yeah, hey, tonight, plenty of news already. Restructuring and reshaping this slate. This is actually my third time looking at tonight's slate, and every single time there's been something dramatically different. We did the Awesome Slate Starter podcast this morning, and then I jumped on the DFS coach breakdown. In the middle of that stream, Joel Embiid gets rolled out. And then right before I was going live for this show, I saw Jimmy Butler got rolled out, and Darius Garland got midday queued. So this slate is incrementally changing by the hour and by the stream. And I still got a whole nother stream after this stream to take another look at it. So I really have been able to appreciate the full evolution of tonight's offering. But because the news is changing, let's see. So with the Heat, the Heat props are back on. So I guess with the Embiid, Adebayo, midday Q, and Darius Garland, SGA is out for the Thunder in a really fun spot. I guess there's plenty of potential to attack. It's my mic. What? My mic is buzzing. Let's see. Properties. How about that? That better? That should be better. That's my bad. You got the sound in the background. So that's what it was originally on, is what I'm on now. And I saw somebody complain. But it looks like fix it. I can still hear him clearly. Yeah, I'm so confused. But if we're good now, sounds like it did the last time you were having it. Alright, how's that? I'll even turn my noise gate off. That's the one. Technical. Way better. Alright, bet. So anyway, man, where do we begin? All right, so let's talk about how this slate has changed a little bit. Let's talk about what we know. So a couple key points of interest to start at. The Philadelphia 76ers, Joel Embiid is out. Andre Drummond likely to step up. For DFS, that's going to be great. For props, it should shift a little bit of usage really to everyone. Joel Embiid representing 30 real points a game. And all the usage. Tobias Harris in this spot in the past has picked up for fantasy. Tyrese Maxey, Seth Curry, if Curry plays, both these guys are all liable to have a little extra cheese on the taco, per se. And then it becomes a more competitive game and a more less foul trouble maybe for guys like Jaren Jackson Jr. Quinn, I'll start with you. Did you have any eyes on this game, and did you like any Sixer lines now that Joel Embiid has been removed from the equation?
The first one that jumped out to me was Tobias Harris. His assist prop is sitting down there at 3.5.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that he has a good chance to have more of the ball in his hands, more usage and more opportunity to, get some assists and stuff. So that low 3.5 assists, I think I'm gonna pounce on that before I, jump on any of his other props.
All
right, Josh, sound like you're in agreement with that.
That was exactly what I was going for. First thing that popped for me, and then on the other side, I could get on some maybe Steven Adams, attack some Drummond. Steven Adams is at 23 fantasy points, pretty low, and feel like he could get there against Drummond.
Yeah, I have Drummond I have Adams right now at 26 fantasy points, 27-ish. Okay. My main concern with Adams usually is the minutes. I don't ever get to a strong minute projection on him, and when they're fully healthy, the only guy I really bank on for minutes is John Morant. But touching back on the assist thing, it sounds like you're both pretty strong on. We used the NBA Wowie tool. We put Tobias Harris on the court, Joel Embiid off the court. Tobias Harris this season in this split has led the team in usage, almost 30%, and the assist rate goes to 23%, which is not like a crazy number, but it's the highest on the team, and it is enough to give us a shot at what would we say 3.5 assists. So I could get behind that. The Jaren Jackson defense, the Grizzlies defense, tough, yes, but sometimes minutes and usage just can compensate for it all. 33.5 PRA also feels slightly low. We don't have a fantasy a fantasy score prop for him. We do have, however, a 10.5 real point prop on Andre Drummond, 11.5 rebounds, 24.5 PRA, and a 33 PrizePicks fantasy points fantasy score. I have him at 46 right now, Andre Drummond. This is, like I said, not necessarily a matchup I go out of my way to target the Grizzlies, but Drummond has been such a fantasy point per minute type of guy that he's also live to go get some blocks. And the Memphis Grizzlies allow, I think, a top 1, top 2 amount of blocks per game. John Morant likes to drive to the rack. Memphis is second in blocks per game. So maybe Drummond can add to that. And for the PrizePicks scoring, a +3 for a block. If he gets a couple of those, he's in good standings here. So I could get behind the 33 fantasy point prop as well for Andre Drummond. They have him 2.5 blocks and steals. And speaking of blocks and steals, looking at the Grizzlies, just curious. Jaren Jackson Jr. is Mr. 5 blocks a game. He does not have a blocks and steal line, but he is at 29.5 fantasy points. And I was a little bit privy on him this morning because he has been so dominant with the defensive peripherals, and that's so much more lucrative for PrizePicks scoring. But I was worried about potential foul trouble because Joel Embiid, being such a usage guy, and if they crossed up. But maybe with less Joel Embiid, maybe there's more meat on the bone at that point prop. Again, fully healthy Grizzlies to an extent, just no Dillon Brooks. In this front court does have Adams and Colin Anderson and Brandon Clark and plenty of backups here to not necessarily feel great about a mid-30 minute projection for Jaren Jackson, but I do think there's a little bit of meat on the bone at those numbers. So that's what stands out here. Looking at chat, see what you guys got on this one. Again, my bad, chat, for the audio stuff to start the stream. Luke says Drummond's going to be 80% owned tonight on DraftKings. Yeah, 20% will pay the rec. Maybe. Drummond has had a couple spots in this split where he kind of went wide side on us, but yeah, there's no reason I would load up on him for DFS. We'll focus more on the DFS aspect in terms of pricing in the next show in an hour. Let's talk.
Speaking. Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, speaking on Jaren Jackson, those blocks. He has. I saw a stat. He has 50 blocks this month of January, and that's 19,
that's insane.
19 more than the next closest player to him.
And it's created a John Morant inspired movement to get him in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. And I thought Draymond Green would have been running away with that, but he's missing a lot of time. And then Rudy Gobert has also been missing a chunk of time. So Jaren Jackson Jr. might have a real case, if he keeps this up, to be involved in it as a candidate for Defensive Player of the Year. Moving on to another bit of news before we went live. We got word that Jimmy Butler, after playing 50-plus minutes in his last game, will not play tonight. He rested. I kind of suspected that he might rest here and play the next game. It's not a fantastic matchup against the Boston Celtics, and I also got PJ Tucker down as well. What we've seen this do in the past is actually uplift Bam Adebayo usage-wise, and I kind of speculated this morning with Eric about what Adebayo might be like as a fantasy play today, because I have enough pushback in matchup being not really that great, right? Boston really restricts points in the paint, but usage is usage and minutes are minutes. So if we put Adebayo on the court for this season, we take off Butler and we take off Kyle Lowry, and then we'll even elongate on this a little bit. One of the numbers that's so staggering is Adebayo has a 27% assist rate on a 25% usage rate. So he does a lot of ball handling, he sets up a lot of plays. So even though the Boston Celtics do allow a bottom 3 amount of points in the paint, and they are points in the paint allowed per game, they are third best in restricting points in the paint, and Adebayo gets most of his points in the paint, or at least within the perimeter. I do think there's maybe some meat on the bone to target some of his supplementary props, his secondary props, his tertiary props. He has an assist prop of 4.5. What do you guys think about getting a little action on 4.5 assists for Adebayo, considering all of the everything I just said? Quinn, I'll start with you.
And that's like a borderline like core, kind of play on my cards, just looking at it on the surface. Um, like I said, you spelled out all the stats for it, and like I said, just I'm in total agreement with that one. I was able to get Bam's PRA before they took it down when Jimmy Butler got ruled out. It was at 29.5. They've only moved it up to 30.5. I think that they have undershot like some of his props.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you like Bam tonight, I think you should get on these overs now because I think they're only going to go up from here.
Josh, what are your thoughts on the Heat here? I'm still not expecting. If anything, I'm expecting less real points from the Heat without a guy like Jimmy Butler. And I guess we can look at potential line movement. I don't know if it's been up long enough to see this line move dramatically. But there's a real shot that this could be like a 90-80 game. Not a lot of real points, but we could still grab a hold of the real points that there are. It looks like Boston's moved to 6.5, and it started at 2. So that might even get close to 7, 8, and by the time the slate locks, who knows what we're looking at. But what's sticking out for you in this game? If Adebayo's maybe potentially going to struggle to score, but have his assists up, who's going to put up the real points for the Heat? A little bit of boost for Vincent, Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero. Any props you're most privy to from the Heat side and the game in general?
Yeah, so right now, besides Bam, they just have Duncan and Gabe. They have them both at 12.5 points. Gabe, he could get there, but I've seen him play with Bam and Jimmy out, and he can just go distribute mode, and not look to score. So he's risky, and then Duncan, you're relying on that 3-point shot. So I'm a little more hesitant on that, but like Quinn said, the 4.5 assists I feel really comfortable about and as a core play. On the other side, man, ever since Tatum has taken over this new point guard role, he's crushing it. He's averaging 36 points, 6 assists, shooting at a ridiculous field goal percentage, and this is over the last 4 games. And they still have all his props pretty low relative to this new role he took on. I think his PRA is pretty low. His assist is still at 4. So
Yeah,
been milking that assist prop for the last 3 or 4 games that he's taken on this new role. And then Robert Williams has just been crushing the glass. So I know it's never fun to attack the Heat in the paint, but 9.5 rebounds, I could get there.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of these metrics for the Heat that are going to project him as a tough matchup and a tough defense. And this morning I was looking at Tatum and I was like, oh man, yeah, Tatum has been popping. Then I was like, well, Pelicans, Hawks, Kings, Wizards, Blazers. Like he's been facing cupcake matchups, and I was like, well, today's not so much of that. But the numbers are going to take a hit defensively without Jimmy Butler, without PJ Tucker. So yeah, maybe they are still priced a little bit too soft. So I can maybe co-sign that. I don't mind that. And then I think I still stay away from picking on Adebayo if I can help it. But I'm with you. I could see Tatum continue the hot streak here. So I'll jot that one down. Confidence level on Tatum props, would it be more risky than not, or are you vibing with this perhaps downgraded defensive
Yeah, it all hinges on Butler for me. If
right.
Butler
He's
is out,
out. He's already ruled.
he's already ruled out. Yeah, so I like the assist prop. I like it still.
All right. Hopefully we get some numbers for Tyler Hero to play with here. Hero would lead the team in usage if we go off of the small sample size this year. They got him at 27.5% usage rate this year with Adebayo on the court, Butler off the court. I think if we elongate on that a little bit, maybe it stays steady here. Either way, I expect him to be top 2 in usage with Adebayo. Would probably have to pick up a lot of the real scoring load. So, yeah, I'm with that. Other news on this slate, midday questionable on Darius Garland. I actually pumped out a thumbnail for the DFS stream. Hey, Garland on the cover, and midday Qs are a little sus. And my rule of thumb, I tend to lean closer to out than in when you're in midday Q, especially when you're on night 2 of a back-to-back. Garland played 36 minutes last night against the Pistons. I was looking his way to pick up a lot of slack because I love attacking Garland with these assist props lately. His assist rate is over 40% since Sexton and Rubio have been out, but I guess that's not going to be the case today. So we don't really have much to talk about on that game. There's no Cavs props on the board, and there's likely no Pelicans props that we can feel great about without some strong Pelicans news. So something that we'll be keeping an eye on in the RunDFS.com NBA VIP Discord. Let's move into the Houston Rockets and the Warriors game. This should be our highest total game. It is one of the largest spreads on the slate. Golden State expected to handle business against the Houston Rockets. Kevin Porter Jr. somehow is listed as questionable. He's 1 game into a health and safety protocol stint. I completely don't understand any of that. I would assume that he's not just going to have, a 1-day stint. Maybe it was a false positive, something like that. But I'm assuming KPJ ends up not playing just because he hasn't been protocol that long. But the Warriors, Josh, this is your expertise. Even though they're a 10.5 point spread, they're going to give us a lot of opportunity to maybe hunker down and sink our teeth into a tighter Steve Kerr rotation than usual. Not because Kerr wants to stick with a couple guys, but because there's a lot of guys out. Draymond Green remains out. Andre Iguodala, Otto Porter, all out. So we can expect, and Nemanja Bjelica questionable, we can expect some deeper minutes on Jonathan Kuminga potentially. Maybe Juan Anderson if Bjelica's out. Klay Thompson is going to get his normal run, even though he's on a minutes limit still. He's going to get his normal run. Steph Curry is likely to lead the team in minutes. And then Andrew Wiggins, 6K on FanDuel is something that I've been thinking about all day. But I also got him being top 2 in minutes played today against a Rockets team that just bleeds and hemorrhages fantasy points, real points, peripherals, everything that you can imagine, because the Rockets run, one of the fastest pace in the leagues while simultaneously having one of the worst defenses. Is there anything on the board for the Warriors, Josh, that you are liking a lot? I've been really privy to this reverse all-star narrative for Andrew Wiggins today. The K-pop stands got the homie into the starting lineup of the All-Star game. And in the 2 games since, he's really put up big numbers, and this is one of the better matchups you can ask for to kind of keep that up. And without Otto Porter, without Andre Iguodala, what are you expecting out of Wiggins? Do you like 24.5 PRA, and do you like 31 fantasy points? I have him at 36, 37. It's the Rockets, man. It's hard to fail in this spot. Anything from the Warrior side you're attaching to some cards tonight on PrizePicks, Josh?
Yeah, definitely. I'm with you on the Wiggins. I like the fantasy score because we know the Rockets turn the ball over so much and allow a lot of block shots. So giving him more opportunity to pad his stats there. What was the status on Kevin Porter?
Kevin Porter is officially questionable, but he was out for health and safety protocol. So almost no one gets 1 game and comes back, right? So unless it's a false positive or something like that, I can't imagine he'll play. But it befuddles me at the very least that he's not listed as out or doubtful.
Well, because he's the one who turns it over the most on the team. So I kind of wanted him to play with that kind of approach. Mm-hmm. Another prop I like is Klay Thompson, 3.5 rebounds. He's being more aggressive on the glass lately, and he has to be with Otto out, and because Otto was getting 6 to 8 rebounds a game, and Looney's been getting in foul trouble pretty much every game, which has been a headache for them in the paint. So I like the 3.5 rebounds. I feel really comfortable with that. Um, and then I guess you can get on Looney's 1.5 block and steal, like we said about the Rockets. But I believe he had like 4 or 5 last time total against the Rockets. But again, you got to worry about foul trouble with Looney. He's just pretty much every game he's racking up early fouls. So
Yeah, Looney was somebody that I've discussed at nauseum today as a potential value center. His rebounds have been so good when he's
yeah,
staying out of foul trouble. You mentioned it though. Foul trouble is a real problem. 5 fouls in 30 minutes against Brooklyn. Fouled out in 24 minutes against Minnesota. High usage center in this spot. Christian Wood's gonna not quite be Cat, but he's still gonna be a high usage center, even more so if KPJ is out. So I'm a little bit curious with maybe his fantasy point prop. I got him at 34 fantasy points, hoping he can stay on the court for 28 minutes. That would give me a little bit of leeway here from their 26 fantasy point projection on PrizePicks, so I can get. Well, Quinn, anything standing out for you on the Rockets and Warriors game?
Well, first, like you were saying with Andrew Wiggins, whether it's fantasy points, PRA, real points, I like them all in the spot. Like I said, he's been playing well recently. The reverse All-Star snub, I don't know if it's a thing or not, but either way, he's playing well. It's a fantastic matchup. And, if we don't get a blowout, I think he's going to clear all those props, pretty comfortably. Steph Curry at 24.5 real points. I mean, that also looks good to me. You don't have Otto Porter out there. You don't have a few guys out there as far as, actual point scorers, and the Warriors are projected to score a lot of points tonight. So I can get on board with that. And then, Klay Thompson with the 2.5 threes. I could see myself taking it over there as well. I think that he will, get the minutes that he's getting, no matter what the outcome is. I've seen him out there, even in garbage time, just getting the minutes and, getting his, energy and his stamina up. So those are ones on the Warriors side that I definitely like.
Yeah, looking at the live chat, my boy X Hustle says I like Wiggins over 2.5 assists. So I think we're all in agreement on that. And then Ben Snap, it says Julius Randle 3.5 free throws made. He goes to the line a lot. That's part of his game. I'm not anti some Julius Randle progression games.
I wanted to talk about him for a second. Just like his stats are blowing my mind. So last year he had 1 game under 10 points, right?
Yeah.
This year he already has 6, and he's shooting at a career low field goal percentage. What's going on? I mean, this is a prime spot. They have him at 36 fantasy points against the Kings. I mean,
well, I'm a Knicks fan, right? So I watch all the Knicks games. So there's something mentally. I think there's literally like something wrong because the fans, the New York fans, are kind of against them, and I think it's really starting to affect them. And then recently we've seen R.J. Barrett, kind of start to kind of be the number one guy and have the ball in his hands more, and Randall's not having the ball in his hands as much. So I think that. I think that all the peripherals and things that you saw last year, I'm not going to say I don't think they're coming back, but I do think that he's on a downtrend. I'd be really weary of playing any overs on him at this point in time.
Well, be a little bit of devil's advocate, maybe more so for the DFS point of view. He's coming off a not great 3-game stretch of opponents, Milwaukee and Miami. If we look at the team stats or the team metrics tab in the RunDFS.com NBA VIP spreadsheet, Miami and Milwaukee have been top or bottom 5 matchups to centers, to points in the paint. I don't think I would get behind too much action on a PrizePicks standpoint tonight behind any Knicks because it's the Knicks. But with that said, my favorite Kings metric is that they allow the most points in the paint in all of basketball. So if there's a get right spot, it could be in this matchup against a Kings front court that is even more depleted than usual. Marvin Bagley not playing today. So a lot of Rashawn Holmes, maybe some Alex Len, and maybe some Tristan Thompson. And the point in the chat was that there was a 3.5 free throw prop. Alex Len can get in some foul trouble too. So I don't hate the thought of the free throw prop. I'm with you guys though. Like the caveat with PrizePicks is you really don't want to take these risks because it's already kind of a parlay format. This would be more so for the individual player props if there was some decent juice on Hittens, Randall overs. I think this matchup is the best matchup he's going to have in a long time. And yeah, they did put out the lineup last night. So shout out to Tom Thibodeau knowing that Sunday night who is going to start tomorrow. Privy is the wrong word from that statement. Yeah, maybe. What up, Junius Grady? Yo, shout out to all you guys in chat, man. I appreciate your love on a Monday afternoon. Be sure you guys are hitting that thumbs up. Helps us get through that algorithm. Where do we go now? How about Oklahoma City Thunder? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is out. Hopefully not for long, but I don't think that the Thunder actually care from an administrative standpoint. More picks, more better. But they designated Jeremiah Robinson Earl for assignment to the G League today. A little baseball term. Darius Baisley is, or no, it was Isaiah Roby got called up, and he's not going to play tonight. So even more potential concentrated usage on a few guys. For me, Josh Giddey and Lou Dort felt like the two I would be most interested in. For fantasy, I think I'm going to have to explore the Trey Man well. But the Thunder are a unique team here because the Thunder with SGA, with Jeremiah Robinson Earl on the season are the absolute worst offense in basketball. 102 points per 100 possessions, the worst offensive efficiency that you could have that's in the league right now. What's keeping them afloat when they're not getting smoked is their defensive rating is above average, and a lot of that is because of Lou Dort. So we're dealing with, can this offense that's already the worst with the SGA somehow keep this game close and competitive without SGA? The plus here is that the Blazers have one of the league's worst defensive ratings, so it's kind of a immovable object against the unstoppable force. But let's talk the main beneficiaries in the absence of SGA, Lou Dort and Josh Giddey. Josh, I think, Quinn, I saw you talking about Lou Dort props potentially still being a little low. Talk to me a little bit on what you like and what you're seeing on Lou Dort, and then do you like Josh Giddey as well? These are the only two props live right now on PrizePicks for us to get some.
Lou Dort, he's sitting at 28 fantasy points right now. I definitely dig the over on that. Just looking into his stats, I mean, his fantasy points per game like normally is I think about 27 points if I'm not mistaken, and they have him at 28. Now you take SGA off the court, you have a good game environment, so those are all like boxes that I'm checking. So that's one that I potentially could feel about as like a core play, and definitely one I'm going to have on some cards. Either way. Now, Josh Giddey, I'm kind of like on the fence with him. I have to look more into him because there's some games where the scoring isn't there or maybe one piece isn't there, so I don't want to get caught on the wrong prop. So maybe a PRA play could be in play for Giddey.
Yeah, this season without SGA on the court, Giddey and Lou Dort on the court. 25% usage rate on Dort, 23.8%, so 24 for Giddey. The assist rate for Giddey is at 40%, 157 minutes of sample size, so maybe that comes down a little bit, but you definitely expect a lot of ball handling responsibilities to go his way, and he is a peripheral getter, man. He'll stuff the stat sheet, so I don't really see a reason to isolate one particular stat if I can throw a blanket over his entire game, and the 30.5 real points seems good. The 37 fantasy points, I can get behind that as well. I have him at almost 48, 49 fantasy points based on a 38-minute projection, based on the Blazers' defensive efficiency and just based on his responsibility here. So I'll co-sign most props today. Josh, you agree, disagree with anything on Dort and Giddey? You anchoring either of these two into your mix tonight?
I agree on all the takes, but I'm not anchoring them. I still find them too risky, and I get it for DFS, but I'm still kind of back and forth on them.
Sounds like you two are not giddy to play.
Seeing your high projection on him, gives me a little more I feel a little better about, jumping on the fantasy points because I don't think the Blazers are going to blow him out or vice versa. So I feel good about Giddey getting his minutes, and if you're projecting him that well, it's gonna, really, weigh heavily into, me playing him.
Yeah, like I said, I'm struggling with how bad this offense could be. If you remember a previous game for the Thunder without SGA, ended up
Yeah.
in a 50-point blowout by the Grizzlies. So I wouldn't be stunned if the Thunder's offense just didn't come to play, but I'm leaning a lot of expectations. Gideon Dort. And then, we got about 10 minutes here. I think we touched on the big news spots. Josh, I'll throw it to you. Is there any other props that we didn't talk about that you're really, really keen on? I like to lead with the news and the usage boosts and bumps. So, but is there anything that I missed out on that you want to attack, and any of your favorite plays that we haven't mentioned?
Yeah, I like Nurkic a lot in this spot. I like him again. I like when he was going against the Rockets. Same kind of spot here where he could eat on the glass, get some blocks, and so I like him for fantasy and rebounds. I think 40 is pretty much right where I want it at. And then yeah, that's it for now. I'll look through why Quinn does his in case I'm missing it.
Yeah, I can get behind the Nurkic call. The Thunder front court has been hemorrhaging fantasy points to everyone. We just saw Sabonis drop 70+ fantasy points. So I currently have him at 45 fantasy points. That would clear the over that they have at 40. Derek Favors, Mike Muscala, guys like that might get minutes tonight in lieu of Jeremiah Robinson Earl being sent down. But I don't necessarily fear those guys either. So yeah, I could get behind that. Quinn, any nuggets that you've been holding on to that was not part of anything that we've already talked about?
Yeah, on the other side of the Blazers Thunder game, really like both CJ McCollum and Anthony Simons points props. CJ McCollum, they have him at 20.5 real points. Over the last two, he's taken over 20 shots, and he shot 50% better in the last 3 games. So I think those are all indicators that he's shooting well. He's going to get shots, and when you put those two together, I think he's going to get over 20.5 real points. And also with Anthony Simons, he's taken over 17 shots in 6 out of the last 7 games. 7 out of the last 9 games if you're going to go that deep. And with that type of shot volume, and in this, and against the Thunder, 19.5 points going over that, I think that's attainable as well. Then maybe as a fringe play, you can possibly look at Robert Covington over 26 fantasy points. His stocks upside, and with him playing low 30s minutes, getting some rebounds and maybe scoring some points, I think he can get his way to 26 points, fantasy points. Another thing that I was looking at was in that Hawks Raptors game. They got all the Hawks props down once Trae Young popped questionable. Before that, I was really looking at Fred VanVleet, and he had like a 21.5 point prop, and I was gonna attack that. Now we have to wait to see what's gonna happen with the Hawks. I did get like Kevin Hurt of PRA. I just took it when Trae Young popped questionable, just in case he gets ruled out. His PRA was like 17 or something crazy low. So I just like threw it in a little 2 card before they got it down. So you want to keep an eye on those Hawks props if they come up, and if they come up before they announce the Trae news, and even afterwards, maybe you can get some value there if they don't set the props high enough.
Yeah, so I mean, I still got Raptors props live. Obviously, the Hawks stuff is going to change when they do put it back up. I don't think it's.
I mean,
yeah, they probably.
He's got to play, right? I mean, they're on a 7-game winning streak. They're hot. They want to keep that streak going, right? Against the Raptors.
The DQ tags, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'll say in the interest of the Raptors numbers, I've been harping on it for weeks now. Nick Nurse's rotation is so tight. Like, he even when he says it's going to go to 10-man, it stays at 8. Maybe today is an opportunity for him to act on that word. But we're live to see 40 minutes of Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam, guys like that. So if Fred VanVleet's going to get 40 minutes against a bottom 5 defense, and a lot of that defense is the inefficiency of Trae Young to guard. So in a sense, it could become a better defense if Trae Young is out. But 40 minutes is 40 minutes. So I definitely wouldn't shy away from VanVleet props. Really, all the Raptors. Maybe I don't put them all together. But in terms of fantasy points for the Raptors, I currently had VanVleet at 44 and Siakam at 45.8. They got VanVleet at 40, so I only have a 4-point margin of difference there, and they have Siakam at 42 fantasy. So I don't feel like we're getting massive bargains on these numbers. I think they're pretty
What
appropriate.
about Trent?
Trent, they have him at 17.5 real points, 30 fantasy points. I have him at 31.8, and I do think most of his fantasy points will probably be attached to real points. So maybe we'd be more privy to get action on his real point props.
Yeah, I was thinking his real point 17.5. I like.
Yeah, and also Trent has smashed his PRA the last 3 games, 36, 35.
So 2 of those games, I believe, were without VanVleet. One of those games was against Charlotte, and one of those games went to triple overtime. So,
yeah, I know. Yeah, obviously he's. I mean, but he's gonna shoot. He's gonna probably get over 15 shots here, and it could be.
He chucks it. He chucks it for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Chucks a lot of threes
for sure.
Yeah.
All right, let's get caught up on chat. Chat. If you guys want access to these projections, they are behind the paywall. RunDFS.com. Click VIP memberships. There's several options: week passes, 2-week passes, month passes. You can get locked in until the MLB All-Star break, July 20th. Yes, we will have projections and stuff like that for baseball as well. And then the year pass, we allowed that to be put back up this morning, discounted from last year. So all this stuff, and it comes with DFS point of view, but we are becoming more and more prop centric to satisfy the prop hunters from a PrizePicks point of view. We have the player props tab in the RunDFS.com NBA VIP spreadsheet. That's going to feature my projections for PrizePicks fantasy points, real points, rebounds, assists, PRA, and then shout out to Josh. He's been maintaining this old prop detector tab here. He likes to list his favorite props, some of the mid-tier props that he's attacking, and more of his fringe props. So if you're attacking PrizePicks, you can kind of get some ideas there, and then even more ideas are being bounced around in the RunDFS.com premium Discord, where Quinn and Josh are always thinking out loud. I'll jump in there, and then every day before lock, I'm in the RunDFS.com NBA voice chat in this Discord. You guys can jump in there. It's not a listen-in radio show, man. Grab a mic, be part of the conversation. Tonight's a unique slate, boys. Everything locks within an hour, right? Lock it at 7. Last game tips at 8. So it's we get the thrill of a big slate all at once, and we don't really have to hang around too long waiting on specific news to drop. And we've gotten a lot of news already. So I think it'll be a fun night. It'll be a more efficient night, I'll say, in terms of just enjoying the sweat. But if you guys want to enjoy the sweat with us, make sure you go to RunDFS.com, get signed up, and be part of the action. Dylan Dumas, appreciate the follow, the sub on YouTube. You guys got anything in chat? Let's knock it out, and then I will get out of here. And in about 15 minutes, I'll be live again for the 4th time today, talking about each game tonight from a DFS point of view, and then we'll also keep an eye on some of these PrizePicks lines moving and not moving. J. Cole says Horford's too slow to guard. I don't know. Shadow, what up, Shadow? Hey, man, what do you think about Adams over 8.5 rebounds? My only pessimism with Adams really is minutes. I mentioned that earlier. I do think Adams per minute is so good, and rebounding, he's so good. 15, 7, 8, 11 rebounds his last couple games. I just hate that a lot of this is 30 minutes or less. So I'm really banking on exquisite efficiency, but that's Adams' game. Josh, would you take some shares of Adams' 8.5 rebounds with the now no Joel Embiid Sixers front court, or are you also skittish on lack of minutes?
That makes it a fringe. I do like it. I like the idea of it. So I have it. I already had it on my fringe list at the 8.5 rebound, just because of, like you said, the minutes. But yeah. I get it.
Willie Hoop says,
one other prop we forgot to go over was Christian Wood. I like his 31.5 PRA.
yeah, I can get behind that. With no Draymond Green, this Warriors front court is not what it once was, and
They have no answer for him.
I do think a lot of these Rockets pricing maybe isn't assuming Kevin Porter Jr. out since a lot of places leave system is questionable. So yeah, maybe there's still some implied value here. 38 fantasy points is what they got him out as. I've got Christian Wood to 44. So that's probably gonna line up well for all of his overs from now. And like I said, if KPJ officially gets rolled out, we might see a lot of these numbers go up. I don't mind that. Willie Hoop says, I'm fading Fred VanVleet because Trent is eating into VanVleet. I don't think he is. I really don't. I think if you're just looking at game logs, like I said, VanVleet's missed the last 2 games where Trent has, or 2 of the last 3 games that Trent has started in matchups that were very favorable. Charlotte, Chicago, and then that Miami game went to triple overtime, and that was VanVleet's first game back. And the other thing is, 40 minutes is 40 minutes, and that's regulation expectation. So I really don't think that VanVleet's not gonna have his shot at 20 shot attempts just because Gary Trent's back. It does give Fred VanVleet another guy to pass it to, right? A more efficient shooter, spread the floor a little bit more. But I don't necessarily think that Trent hurting Van by still the point guard. John Morant real points 26 and a half over is locked in almost all my cards. I'm fine with that. John Morant's taking 20 plus shots a game. I was thinking that it would be real fun to fire him in and beat each other this morning. But 20 plus shot attempts as far as the eye can see. As long as Dylan Brooks is going to remain out, John Morant's going to clearly lead the team in shot attempts and be top 2 and top 3 at worst with Desmond Bain. So if he hits half of those 25 shots, I at 26 and a half, a number that he's been clearing pretty consistently. And Maxey and Seth Curry probably don't do a whole lot to slow him down. Dylan says, what do we think about the Sixers with Joel Embiid out? We think this is going to boost Tobias Harris quite a bit. We've definitely got several games of sample size the last couple of years of Embiid sitting. Tobias Harris often leads the team in usage, leads the team in fantasy points per minute. The pushback here a little bit is that Memphis defensively is good, and especially with guys like Jaren Jackson Jr. and Steve Adams. But Tobias Harris, I got him for 44 fantasy points, right? So maybe not going to profile as like a fantastic fantasy play, but for prize picks, I think we can get a little bit of edge on their numbers versus our numbers and expectations. I've got, I think we our favorite Harris prop is 3.5 assists, right, boys?
Yeah.
So
I would like that for sure.
That's low enough that I'll still go after. What up, hey Doranzo? Skipped over the Martin part. Caleb Martin, 12 real points. My bad, J. Cole. I didn't mean to skip you. I didn't even know that was up because we had only saw Duncan Robinson, Gabe Vincent, but apparently they added Caleb Martin 11.5 real points. Mentioned that Jimmy Butler is going to be out, and I think that's just stuff on a parlay mindset, like because they also have Kyle Guy who's liable to come in and play 15 minutes and shoot. Like Hero, Guy, Robinson, Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, like they just have so much that I'm a little bit worried about getting behind anyone particular for real points because I don't think the Heat are going to be implied for a lot of real points anyway. Boston defensively pretty good, so I'm probably not going to stick my neck out there for Caleb Martin on PrizePicks parlay approach, but the logic's there. I don't think. Tobias can foul Jackson Jr. out. He can, but Jaren Jackson Jr. has been pretty good lately in terms of pacing, and a lot of his blocks aren't becoming fouls like they used to. A lot of 2, 6, 6, 4 blocks games. He's just going nutty right now. So, but I don't disagree. Like if he's having a bad day, a high usage Tobias might get him in a little trouble. Filling any first half props. By the way, James Labor, appreciate that sub. Drummond 5.5 points in the first half. Yeah, I think that's low enough. I think Drummond's all game props are going to be pretty low. I don't usually go after first half props unless I'm really thinking there's a impending blowout. So maybe, I don't know, maybe Warriors would be a good team to attack for first half props. They got Steph Curry at 12.5 real points, Klay Thompson 8.5 real points, stuff like that. But I usually don't dabble with first half unless I expect a blowout, or I'll dabble with second half if I'm trying to chase some losses. But that's got to do it, man. I got to get out of here and get live for the DFS show. But you guys are free to join me for the DFS show and add some more questions about Prize Picks as I go game by game breaking it down. So it's not it for the Prize Picks conversation, man. Quinn, Josh, I appreciate your time, man. Maybe we make this a Monday thing if Quinn's schedule can afford it.
I'm down.
That's fun. We'll mix it up, make Monday more interesting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, boys. I appreciate your time. Chat, I'm out of here. Twitter.com/Gundacker. But I'm back in 10 minutes for DraftKings and FanDuel. Another slate breakdown, man. Hope you guys crushed it tonight. Good luck. God bless. And go win some money.